He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar.
Well, Andy, when we were just talking, we heard some weird noises coming through the microphone. You think Cash Patel's sitting behind a desk listening to us right now, trying to
Definitely.
figure us out?
Cash or Donald Trump. Real quick, this is a side note, but Cash and the new Attorney General Todd Blanche went to a campaign rally with Trump the other day and both spoke at the rally, which is unheard of for them. They're supposed to be nonpartisan, but they spoke at the rally, and Cash said that every single case that the FBI investigates, Donald Trump takes a personal interest in. And I think he was meaning it to be like he's so attentive, but like, no, the president is not supposed to be getting involved in. Okay, whatever. So yeah, no,
Okay,
scary.
yeah. So they're supposed to be, yeah. Oh
Also,
my gosh.
I was gonna save this for the end, but there was an image that like almost seemed. I hate to do the whole like Nazi stuff, but like it almost seemed like 1930s Germany, like the lead up to World War II.
Oh,
I just don't like the idea of like uniformed people, whether it be military or police, like attending rallies. Excuse me. Doesn't that just have like an ominous look about it?
yes.
I don't.
Yes, it
I
does.
don't like
You
anything about
you
that.
you nailed it on the head of like 1940s Germany.
Yeah, 1930s, pre-war, like right before World War II.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyhow, I don't know. I just, at
Yeah.
one point during that, I didn't pull the clips, but Todd Blanche, the Attorney General, was like, and we'll always have the police officers back. Anybody that lays a finger on the police, we will prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. And it's like, does anybody remember that Donald Trump pardoned what, like 3,000 people, over 1,500 of which pled guilty to assaulting police officers? And Trump pardoned them all.
Yeah.
So, oh, yeah, we're going to support the police. Okay, whatever. So,
Yeah. This was in New York.
I don't remember what state it was in. I
I
can't
think it
remember.
I think that badge kind of looks like New York police officers. Anyway, yeah, they shouldn't be there. But
Yeah.
that should be they should be fired for being there, I think.
In uniform is the key thing. Cops can go
Exactly.
just in uniform. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Do you
Yeah.
have any good news for me, bro?
So
I'm this is
I think you're going to be happy with the first couple things I got for you tonight. Now, first of all, primaries last night in a couple different states. Your people, the DSA, continue to have a strong showing.
yeah.
There was a lady named Angie Nixon in Florida, a black woman. She's like a state congressman, maybe, or something like that. And she was running against Alexander Vindman. He's the guy that was like the star witness in the first or the second Trump impeachment trial, the one having to do with Ukraine, where he was trying to get them to investigate Joe Biden. Um,
Mhm.
he spent $16 million on ads and stuff, and she spent like 60,000, and she won the primary. So we have a DSA candidate running in Florida. The standard way to look at it would be this isn't going to go well, but I'm going to make the case to you. We're going to talk some economics later on, kind of about where the country's at money wise. And I'm going to make the case to you that I think she might actually have a pretty good chance. But DSA did good last night. On top of that, I think the people heard you. Okay. All 20 of our listeners heard you and got to work. Good news, buddy.
Ooh. Nice. Okay, okay.
All construction work for border security in Big Bend National Park is being temporarily suspended. Rodney Scott, Commissioner of the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, announced Monday. There was backlash to this in Texas big time, and there were local sheriffs, like Trump voting sheriffs, that were trying to point out how stupid this was to build a border wall right here. So they've halted everything right now. They're going to re examine it. It looks like they might not build a border wall through Big Bend Park. Yay, way to go, everybody that got upset about that because people got upset. They were heard. Awesome. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't fix what they did in what they're doing in Arizona.
agreed. And this next bit of information is not going to make you happy.
U.S. Forest Service is aiming to open more than 44. Oh yeah, yeah, they're getting rid of the what is it called? No road rules.
Yeah, so 44 million acres of national forest land to logging and road construction, a reversal of a policy that protected wildlife habitats for decades. This is because we have a 25% tariff on Canadian lumber, so people aren't building here now. So we're going to start getting lumber out of our forest. Canada is like 90% forest. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they got a lot of trees up there. Let's let them cut down their trees. Why are we going to do it to? I was trying to look and see where all it's going to be, and it's places I've camped before, like the Lincoln National Forest and the Santa Fe National Forest, I believe.
Okay.
So not good. Let's hope that they don't make much headway on that, and then whoever the next president is can put a reversal on that. I hope.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, why don't we can't just tear down the forests. Like,
I mean, you can.
why don't we tear down the houses and we build forests and then you can tear those down. Like you grow the trees to make lumber.
I think that's what they're doing is growing the trees to make lumber. That
Or
and
just grow more trees.
in certain areas they do that. I don't know
Yeah,
how long it
I
takes to grow
know.
a tree. Yeah, but our national
That's
forests aren't that place.
no. The national forest should be national forest and not something for a giant corporation to go and like just pull from.
And this has always bothered me. Like when Trump says, we're making so much money on oil." Like we're not making money on oil. Me and you and the government aren't making money on oil. Like Shell or Exxon or Chevron or whoever, like they are. They're taking the resources out of America's ground but selling it for their profit. Same
Yeah.
with this logging that's going to happen in the national forest. Like somebody's going to get a contract and this company is going to make a lot of money. Most likely a company that donated big to Donald Trump's election campaign or something like that. Like, if we're going to be taking America's national resources, like, then this is getting close to socialism, I understand, but like, nationalize the oil or nationalize whatever, but like, it's all of our resources. How come we're not getting a split of that money? Like, why is the money going to Exxon and its shareholders when it's coming out of America's ground? I never understood that.
I agree. In Alaska, they do that. Alaska, everybody gets a stipend in Alaska from the oil. I forget what they call it, but it's
Okay.
yeah.
I feel like
Everybody gets like 10 grand a year or something like that. I could be wrong. It might be like 1,000, but
I don't know how, but like I don't know how to say it without it sounding very socialist because it does. We should nationalize it, but at the same time, if it's coming out of America's soil, then yeah, nationalize it.
yeah.
Sorry for sounding socialist there. We're going to talk some DSA later on tonight, by the way.
Yeah, but we also should like slow that down and like do all the proper like ecological studies to make sure that we're not, kicking ourselves in the teeth 10 years from now for killing some tree frog, you know?
Well, and that was part of the deal with Big Bend I was reading about is that normally if you're going to build something in, a national park like Big Bend, there's all kinds of studies that would have to go along and red tape, and they just slashed right through all that and started bulldozing.
Yeah.
So,
To put up a bathroom, I bet in Big Bend you'd have to go through a
yeah,
survey.
where's that sewage going to go? I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, anyhow, but other good news. We've been talking about this for months, buddy, and we finally did it, okay?
What do we do?
Today at like 4 o'clock, we did it.
Yep. National debt hits 40 trillion after decades of borrowing. President Trump has promised to restore fiscal order, yet many of his policies have only exacerbated the debt burden. Did we pass the 1.5 trillion for the defense spend?
I believe I think that is for next fiscal year, and that'll be on the upcoming budget, which they did another continuing resolution to get past the midterms. So it's going to be what's scary here is if Republicans lose the House and the Senate, they're going to pass the new budget for 2027 during that lame duck period between the election and when they actually leave office, because there's like 3 months between the election and when they leave. And they could pass some really terrible stuff, including blowing out the budget during that time, to then turn around and blame Democrats. When Donald Trump took office a year and a half ago, the debt was at 36.2 trillion. He has added 3.8 trillion to the debt in right about a year and a half. Okay, but Republicans are good with debt. Okay, whatever.
Dude, we've heard that. Well, we have a buddy who's a solid Republican, and that's all we heard growing up. The Republicans are so much better with the debt. And yet you look at it, and the Democrats are actually 100 times better than the debt
Dude,
with the debt.
I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I used to say, even when we first started recording this a year or two ago, I used to say to you all the time that, well, the part of me that's still a Republican is because I'm for fiscal responsibility. I think we should have low national debt. We should balance the budget. That was my reasoning for being Republican leaning. And like now, after I've paid attention and learned some stuff, like neither one, I don't want to pretend like Democrats care about the debt because they don't either, but neither of them do. To act like one cares more than the other is kind of a joke. It's just,
Well, you have to have, I mean, it's a balancing act, right? You have to have your economy has to be working in a way that allows you to have that debt.
yes, and like a little like carrying debt as a nation is not a bad thing. Now we're at a point where our debt to the GDP ratio is just terrible. But like what kills me is Democrats get in and they're like, oh, we want to cut from military whatever, but then they want to spend more in other places like Social Security, Medicare for all, food stamps, whatever. Republicans get in and they're like, no, we shouldn't be spending there, but then they blow 100 or what was it, 1.5 trillion on the defense budget. Like, so they're
Yeah.
both going to spend it. It's just a
Or
matter
they give
of where we
tax cuts to the wealthy.
and that's where I got to tell you, man, like, and I'm resisting the whole DSA thing, but also like tax the rich sounds really good to me right now. And I'm not saying don't tax them 95% or anything, but like the problem is a lot of the super wealthy, the top 1%, like they always cry, "Oh, our tax rate is so high." None of them pay taxes because, that we've eliminated capital gains taxes. Elon is a great example, but he finds ways to take payment in stock instead of actually taking a paycheck, which you can't
Hmm.
tax that. And then he uses that stock to leverage loans from the bank that you also can't tax. Like to make it sound like these billionaires are paying like 50% in taxes. No, like millionaires are like a lot of like athletes and whatnot, like they're paying close to 50% in taxes.
Sure.
But the billionaires, the people that write the checks to the athletes and the millionaires, like they're not paying shit. And that's what needs to be addressed right now.
Yeah.
Bezos, Zuckerberg, Musk, you name it, they need it. So
Yeah, there was something like if you just taxed Elon Musk what normal people pay, like the average American citizen pays in taxes, if you just
30%.
taxed him that much, yeah,
Yeah.
we could have free healthcare and free education.
There was something, and it was like all those I read it a while ago, so I can't remember the exact number, but like those tech bros, Musk and Mark Andreessen and all them, like
Teal.
yeah, Peter Thiel, their effective tax rate is like 2%. They pay the lowest tax rate. Anyhow, it's very upsetting. So I'll say
That's
this: we have like less than a year till we hit the debt ceiling, and then Congress will have to vote to allow for the debt ceiling to get raised, and they will. Democrats will try to get some kind of concession where they're going to get something they want to agree to raise the debt ceiling. Donald Trump wants to just get rid of the debt ceiling altogether, which scares the heck out of me. Like he's like, why do we keep raising it every couple of years? Let's just get rid of it and borrow infinitely.
Donald Trump is not the one to be. He's bankrupted seven.
My
Sorry, Shannon.
my mom commented on how proud she was of you for not. She said she was going to call you. I don't know if she did.
He bankrupted seven businesses. And here, okay, we're paying $1 trillion in interest in 2026 on our
Yeah,
debt.
and it's going to keep going up. So get ready. And speaking of debt, we've talked about these comments from Trump before, but I actually saw the clip the other day, so I pulled it for us. Here's a fun video just to remind us we should have seen this coming a mile away.
I call myself the king of debt. I'm the king of debt. I'm great with debt. Nobody knows debt better than me. I've made a fortune by using debt. And if things don't work out, I renegotiate the debt. I mean, that's a smart thing, not a stupid thing. And I made a
How
fortune.
do you renegotiate the debt?
Because you go back and you say, hey, guess what? The economy just crashed. I'm going to give you back half. I like debt.
The economy just crashed. I'm only going to give you half of what I owe you. Is he purposely hurting the economy so that he can negotiate our debt? That's not out of the realm of possibility here. Like he might be intentionally doing this. We should be ready for that.
Crash the economy so that we could. Who owns our debt?
Every other country. It's not people, it's countries. Which
Yeah.
here I want. Let's pause on this because we're going to talk about Japan, who owns most of our debt, and the fact that they just started. I mean, just a spoiler. They sold off $26 billion worth of our debt in the last couple of days because their economy. We're going to get to that. That's the most important thing we're going to talk about tonight.
Didn't we just give them
We
billions of
bought
dollars?
we bought $5 to $10 billion worth of their currency to try to prevent them from selling our T-bills, and it didn't work. It lasted for like 3 or 4 days, and then nothing. So then they just sold 26 billion worth of our debt. You're gonna laugh when I tell you who bought it, but let's pause on that real quick. That's most of what we're going to talk about tonight. I do want to cover one little small thing that happened first. Have you seen? And I got to talk about this. But John Ossoff, my personal front runner right now for president in 2028, he was giving a speech the other night. I didn't pull the clip, but he said all these terrible things are going on in America, blah blah blah, and the president would rather fly around on his Qatari jet with Natalie, is what he said. Okay, Natalie Harp is his aide, the human printer, and
Yeah.
dude. Republicans lost their shit at it. Like coordinated response. They were going after John Ossoff. He hates women, this and that. He's insinuating that Donald Trump has a sexual relationship with Natalie Harp and this. First of all, there's something weird there. I'm not saying that they're doing it. I'm just saying there's something very like she leaves him what has been described as love notes all around. Apparently, when he was going to one of his criminal trials in New York, CNN just covered this last night, but she wanted to get into the motorcade with him, and there wasn't room for her, so she got into the trunk of a car. She got in the trunk of the car that he was riding in to ride with him to his trial. There's video that I didn't pull. When he was playing golf in Scotland, she was running after his golf cart, all 18 holes. And then she wrote him a letter apologizing if it was embarrassing for him that she was running all around the course trying to keep up with him. It's a weird relationship, is all I'm going to say, okay?
What does this girl look like?
She used to be on OAN. In fact, there's all kinds of montages of her on OAN claiming that the election was stolen and this and that. Like she is the ultimate Trump sycophant. Like it's
Okay, she's cute.
she's not a 10. I mean, she's not bad. She's not. Trump could do better. I'm just
How
gonna
old
say.
is she?
Probably like 27, 28, I would have to bet.
Why is she so obsessed with Donald Trump?
Her brother and her don't talk much anymore, but her brother went on CNN and last night and he said he was like, how do I put this right? She's written letters to presidents before, and apparently she gets very obsessed with whoever the Republican president is. Apparently she wrote lots of letters to George W. Bush, like when she was in high school, like love letters to him. She is a weird cookie, is all I'm gonna say.
Oh, so she's like one of those girls that the Secret Service should like keep away from the president?
Like I said, I'm not saying that there's anything going on. I'm just saying it is weird. Like the relationship in itself is weird. We should all be aware of that. So, and he doesn't go last month when he switched planes in Turkey and got on the plane and left he took two people with him, and it was her and Walt Nada, his personal aide, who was also the one that was moving the boxes of documents around at Mar-a-Lago. Those are the two people he chose he left Scott Bessent and Stephen Miller and Marco Rubio and left all them on the plane he thought was going to get blown up, but took Natalie Harp and Walt Nada with him. So that tells you who he cares about. Anyhow, so he made those comments. People lost their mind. What's funny is there's a dude named Stephen Chung that we don't talk about enough. Stephen Chung is the director of communications for the White House. His job before this, I don't know what his real job was, but he was just an internet troll. For like the past 10 years, he's been an internet. He's not a good looking dude, I'm just going to say. But he basically was just a pro-Trump internet troll, and Donald Trump and his people liked him so much that when he got into office this time, they brought him in as like the director of. He's in charge of the White House Twitter. His response to John Ossoff. This isn't an outlier. This is what most of his tweets are like. He says, and he's talking about John Ossoff. John Jackoff has to be the biggest cuck loser in politics. Instead of denigrating hardworking people serving their country, John should look deep into his soul and ask himself why he's a miserable person who hates his country. It's because he's a radical extremist Democrat. I don't know about you, but I feel like they struck a nerve with this one. Like there's something with it's weird. There's something going on with Trump and Natalie Harp. All he said is that Trump would rather fly around on his Qatari plane with Natalie. That was the statement. And coordinated response from everybody on the right. Stephen Chung with some graphic language here. It was kind of him that he didn't do this from his White House account. He did it from his personal account. But again, this is weird. The most shocking part.
This is really weird.
Interesting as well. Yeah, very interesting. The most shocking part of this whole saga, the main reason I wanted to bring this up is because for the first time, I think ever, I'm gonna make you agree with Jesse Waters. I know it sounds unbelievable, but Jesse Waters has got the right take on this.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, to suggest that Trump surrounds himself with attractive women, yeah, I think he's done that his whole life. I don't think he's very upset about the comment. Am I fazed by this comment? No. Has Trump said so much worse, so much more sleazy things against other people? Yes. Have I defended those things? Absolutely. So I'm not going to pretend I'm all hot and bothered about it. And the president doesn't even care. He's like, what? Who? Oh, Pee Wee Herman? Next. Story was over.
Now, Jesse Waters is right. Trump, they're like, it wasn't right for him to attack an aide. Trump attacks. He called Ted Cruz's wife ugly as a dog all the way back in 2016. Every week he says something he goes after people's family, their spouses.
Yep.
So the fact that the right lost it because John Ossoff did this, like, oh, you have no problem with all the shit Trump says. That was my immediate thought. I'm glad Jesse Waters recognized that and called it out. He said, Trump does, what did he say? He does 10 times sleazier stuff than this.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jesse Waters. But the one thing he said there at the end is he doesn't care and he doesn't think Trump cares either. Trump clearly cared because the White House, this is one of those the White House would not let go. Like Scott Jennings, even on his radio show the other day, did a long rant about how clearly John Ossoff hates women. And it's like, what? The Natalie Harp thing is weird. And if you don't admit it's weird, then I don't trust you. It's very much like, and we're going to try to be right about this, but whether you think there's a conspiracy or blackmail or anything going on, our relationship with Israel is just a little weird. If you can't admit that, if you can't admit that, like, we have American congressmen and senators that have Israeli flags in their office and wear Israeli flag pins, that's weird. You can stop there and you don't have to say there's a conspiracy or there's blackmail, but like, it's weird and we should all feel okay to say that.
Well, it's not weird. We know exactly what's going on.
Well,
they're getting paid. They're getting money. That's all that's going on. Now, the Natalie Harp thing, like, it is so weird. I can't even think, I can't figure out what is going on.
Yeah.
And I think you're leading on to, are you saying that she might be an Israeli plant?
Oh, no. I'm just saying that there's certain things that we should all be able to agree this is weird, okay? And
yeah,
this is one of those.
You can figure out why a senator is wearing an Israeli flag. You just look at his bank accounts and who's putting money in his bank. Like, Natalie Harp, she hopped in the trunk of a car. She chased his golf cart and then apologized. She writes him love letters. She's 27, 20, whatever she is. And he's 88 years old or whatever. Like,
the book that came out a couple months ago from Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan about Trump that he got so pissed about had like a whole chapter about Natalie Harp and their relationship and the notes. They have seen some of the notes that she leaves for him, and like, they're love notes. Like, I don't know how, like, she admires him. She would die for him. Like, she would.
And now that it's bothering the administration so much that they're like putting out statements about this, like, if he's like, he could have said that and they could have just like brushed it off. Like, we all knew about Nellie Hart. Isn't she the printer or something?
Yeah, the human printer is what they call her.
Okay.
Which is hysterical because Trump likes to take his news in, like, he wants to hold on to a piece of paper. So if there's a tweet that she wants him to see, instead of showing it to him on a laptop or an iPad or a phone, there's a video where she shows how she sets it up. She carries this big case that has a little, like, it's like a car battery of a power bank that runs a printer that's like a small portable printer and her laptop. And anywhere they get to, the first thing she does is sets up her laptop, the battery, and her printer and just starts printing off things. And then she presents it to him on 8x11 paper because that's the way he prefers to intake things. Crazy. Yeah.
That's weird too.
The whole thing's weird.
So the fact that they're like going after this makes me think that there's something there.
It's weird that they got this upset. I mean, and like I said, yeah, okay, I'll even give Republicans this. By saying that, he did kind of he implied that there's something weird there. He didn't necessarily imply that they're like sleeping together, but he did. The way he said it, the implication is that there's something weird with Natalie being around all the time. That was the implication. But like, again, that struck a nerve. Like if there was nothing going on, it wouldn't be this big a deal. Really struck a nerve.
Also who they called knee pads?
I haven't heard that, but it wouldn't be shocking. I would believe it. You're gonna have to Google that one.
Trump knee pads. Let's see what comes up here.
I thought they called Lindsey Graham knee pads. Boom, boom.
This says stuff about knee pads. Gavin Newsom. for governor. Oh, no. Governor Gavin Newsom selling knee pads at his web store.
Oh, because of all the people. Yeah.
Trump knee pads, yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, so that's all I got on that. Again, that's just weird, and I wanted to bring that to your attention. Also, random that Jesse Waters is the one sane voice on the right throughout this whole thing.
Oh, he's
So
still
that's
not the same voice. He's
on this one topic. He was the
Yeah.
one that pointed out that Trump does way worse than this on a daily basis. Why are we getting upset? Good on
Yeah.
call it out when he does something good. Jesse Waters did something good there. So
Yeah. Actually, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Because I was in a hotel room, and by the way, like this hotel room had a massive TV screen, and Jesse Waters wears a lot of eyeliner,
I believe that.
for one thing. But he also was talking about the WNBA. What's going on with the WNBA?
Man, I so much don't want to get into this because this is the kind of distraction that like Fox News tries. Like the economy's going bad, the war's going bad. Let's talk about the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham, who I'm not gonna lie, I got a little crush on Sophie Cunningham. I like everything about her.
She trades.
No, she's not. She plays for the Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark, and she's like a skinny, tall, blonde girl, but she's kind of a badass. I'm a fan. But she said recently, and I don't think she was trying to get like political with it, but she just said I think they asked her. She didn't come out and say it, but she basically said she's for protecting women's sports. She doesn't think that trans people should be able to play in sports. I agree with that. I have no problem with that. The rest, you could tell by the rest of her teammates, and when they had press conferences, they would have rather she just not said anything to just not be a distraction. But it turned into a distraction. They tried to get Caitlin Clark to like jump on with her, and Caitlin Clark didn't take the bait and said she's not going to talk about it. Megan Kelly and a bunch of people got mad at Caitlin Clark because she was a traitor to women, and it's a whole thing.
Because she didn't want to talk about anything?
Because she do, and basically their thing is we just want to play ball. In any other scenario, Laura Ingraham specifically would tell an athlete to shut up and dribble. We don't care what you think about politics. That's what she said on a couple different occasions.
Sure.
But now they want them to talk because they think they're going to be on their side. It seems like the coach or somebody got with all of them and were like, hey, this is a distraction, knock it off. We're trying to win ball games. So they've all kind of quieted down. But for like a week, that was dominating Fox News, the WNBA. So, and then there's a guy named.
This is a big, like, I don't know. Fox News just seems to take stupid shit and turn it into something big.
That's the best thing that they have. Like even last week when we played some clips from Joe Rogan Experience with Shane Gillis and some other people on it. Like it was right at the beginning of the show, things started heading a little left, and the first thing Joe did was, "Oh, well, they don't even know what is a woman," and blah. It's like it's that and the border are like the two things that, like, if somebody brings up a topic that looks bad for you or Trump or Republicans, quickly run back to the border or trans, and like that's your safe space. Like,
Yeah.
which, and I'll say this. That is a 90-10 issue. Like 90% of the country agrees, like, yeah, trans people, trans men, whatever you want to call it, shouldn't play in women's sports. I have no issue with that community or anything, but I do agree on the whole sports side of things, I'll just say. So
I think we've talked about this before, and I think that it should be up to each individual league. Like, you can have your opinions, but the politicians need to stand up and stop talking about it, and the league should be able to make their own rules.
that's exactly where I'm at. Is I don't want the federal government to be making rules about how the sports leagues run their stuff. Like, we're not. No, let the league do it. And if the fans have a problem with the league, let them boycott or protest or whatever. Let the leagues figure it out. That's the old school Republican in me. I want decisions made at the most local level possible, whether it be city or state over the federal government. And when it comes to sports leagues, let them figure it out. Federal government overreach bothers me. That's old school Republican thought right there. It seems current Republicans have no problem with federal overreach, but
Oh, they're worse than the Democrats.
yeah, they're both pretty bad, just depending on what topic. Like, it's pretty bad. So, anyhow,
But we still need regulations for businesses.
I'm okay with some regulations for sure, especially when it comes to food safety. Because since we cut all the food safety, there's a beef recall going on right now. There's a bacon recall going on. Lettuce is giving people diarrhea. Like, I feel like there's like 8 different things. Eggs. There's another egg recall out of Texas or something. It turns out that if you cut all food safety inspections, it only takes about a year to a year and a half till problems start. And right now we're getting hit with all of them. So anyhow, I do, before we get into the economy, I got to bring up a couple quick things. The reflecting pool is something I refuse to let die because it brings me joy. So this is having to do with the reflecting pool case where the Olympian got charged. Filings are still coming out about that, but we learned today a U.S. National Park Service engineer warned the Trump administration about the floor of the Lincoln reflecting pool peeling in early June due to the renovation process and the materials used for the job, court filings reveal. So they were warned by an engineer that, hey, what you just did is not going to work and it's going to peel. And they knew that, but then they still tried to blame vandals and people with box cutters cutting a 350-foot long slit in the middle. Anyhow, court filings are making them look stupid on this. Donald Trump is still saying that Jeanine Pirro needs to go back to law school and she should bring the charges again. He's trying to get her to recharge that Olympian. We'll see if that's going to happen or not. And then along the same note, this is from the Washington Post. On the 4th of July, near the Washington Monument, President Trump gave a speech on a large stage for the Salute to America celebration. Photos showed the damaged grass as workers dismantled the event structures the week after the event. Now, look at that grass, right? You can see where the stage was, and there were people camped out all day on the lawn. That'll mess up some grass. Trump is going on and on about how vandals also damaged the grass on the week. The damage to the grass is due to his 4th of July celebration. There's pictures of before and after. I didn't pull them all, but you can see in this picture, you can tell exactly where the stage was. Like, remember it started raining and everybody had to evacuate and then come back? When it mass like just dumps like that and then people are sloshing around through it, that'll screw up a yard.
Oh, yeah.
He's saying that was also vandals and Jeanine Pirro needs to get on that right away. No, if there's one president that can fix this, honestly, it's Donald Trump. I don't know if you saw this. There's montages of it. I didn't pull them because they're too long. But today, he invited the press to go on a little tour of all his renovations around the White House. It was long and drawn out. The new helipad. He said the helipad, they're using this rock that's rated for 1,000,000 years, meaning in 1,000,000 years, this rock is still going to be here, pristine, blah, blah, blah. He showed him the grass. He again thanked Scott's Turf Builder for all. Turns out they did donate to his campaign. We've learned. I still say he probably bought stock in them within the past couple of weeks. He keeps bringing up Scott's. He showed them the ball. He just walked them around and showed them all the projects he's doing and how great.
I thought the ballroom was canceled.
The ballroom is under construction, and it turns out they're still working on it. And a court told them to stop a while ago. So this week, and I didn't pull any of it, but the Historic Preservation Society of DC, whatever it is, they went back to the judge and said, hey, he's still working on it. You need to make him stop. And Trump had like a 3-paragraph tweet where he was pissed. What right do they have to tell me I can't improve the White House? And blah, blah, blah. So the court hasn't said anything yet, but he is still actively working on it, even though a court had told him to pause. So just so you know on that.
Wow. So he's just ignoring the court's orders.
Yes. But
isn't that like prison time? That's jail time. If you ignore a court order, I'm pretty sure you need to go to jail.
Yes, but it's not going to happen. So don't even worry about it. It ain't going to happen. But of Trump's walking around today, there were so many different funny clips of him talking about the renovations and, oh, we'll be able to have a cocktail party right over here and then walk right over to the ballroom. And it's like, dude, Americans are hurting financially. And you're talking about having cocktail parties and balls in your. Anyhow. The one clip that I couldn't help but pull, though, this just made me giggle. And it might not have the effect on you, but I got a kick out of this.
As you remember, I donated the flagpoles, one on each side, because the White House didn't really have an appropriate American flag. It had a small one on top. We left that, but it didn't have an appropriate American flag. And this is a great pole. This is the top of the line. It's tapered. This isn't a straight up and down job, which looks terrible, frankly. That's a tapered pole. Great. I'm very good at flagpoles. So we have the flagpole.
That's pretty good.
I'm very good at
flagpoles.
I'm very good at flagpoles.
Okay, that's the only thing you're good at.
I like I said, I got a kick out of that. I'm very good at flagpoles. It's tapered. It looks way prettier than the straight up and down flagpole. So anyhow, when you think about it, he is simultaneously redoing, let's see here, the ballroom, the reflecting pool, the Kennedy Center, the National Mall grass, the catapults on aircraft carriers. And let's not forget, he's changing those back to steam because we were trying to switch to magnets and be all green. And on that note, he has a new thing for the aircraft carriers.
Exclusive. The U.S. Navy is considering a major redesign of its new aircraft carriers to better match President Trump's preferred aesthetic for the warships. Yeah, we talked about this because isn't he building like 7 or 8 warships that are like out of
So
date, just way out of date?
So you're talking about the battleships, which is a different thing. We're building battleships, and he wants them to look like World War II battleships because he thinks those look better when functionally not better. There's a reason we're doing them the way we're doing them today. But no, this is the aircraft carriers, and what he's specifically referencing. You see the, I guess it'd be like the tower there in the middle of the ship.
Uh-huh.
So it's always been in roughly one spot, kind of like just behind the middle of the ship. And in the new aircraft carriers, they're putting them towards the rear of the ship. I don't know why. I'm sure there was some engineering or something went on to decide to do that. He doesn't like that, and he thinks that the tower should be directly in the middle of the ship, front to back, like they were in World War II. Now the Navy could tell him to fuck off. I'm sorry, Mom, but the Navy should tell him to fuck off there. But instead, they are looking at it and they're going to try to redesign. These ships are already starting construction. A couple of them have, but now they're going to try to do a quick redesign and move the tower back to the center of the ship because that's the way Trump prefers it.
How much is that going to cost us?
I don't know, but
why he's doing all this stuff while losing a war.
I'm glad you brought up the war. Yeah. Last thing, then we're going to talk economy, but we should talk about this real quick. Trump said on Sunday or Monday that we're talking to Iran and we have all these back channels and we're finally talking to the IRGC, their military, and the talks are going really well. And then Jared Kushner came out the next day and said, we have these back channels and everything's going well. And then the following day, which I think was Tuesday, Trump came out and said, we're not having any conversations with them whatsoever. In fact, he's directing everybody to stop trying to talk to them, and we're just not going to talk to them for a while. Then he puts out this long tweet, I think this morning. No one has given the Islamic Republic of Iran a greater opportunity to make a deal than me. Tragically for them, they have failed to take it. Therefore, today I am announcing the most crushing economic operation ever taken against any country. This will be economic warfare and isolation on an unprecedented scale. Their navy is gone, their air force is destroyed, their military factories are now rubble, their currency is worthless, and their country is hanging by a thread. Now, real quick, economic warfare, the likes of which we've never seen. That's what we've been doing to Iran and Cuba for the last 60 or 70 years, however long it's been. I don't know how you can ratchet it up. We have the most severe sanctions possible on those countries, and it hasn't broken them yet. Why do we think it's going to work now? I don't know. The next part of this tweet's funnier, though. Today, I am also announcing that any country that allows its financial institutions, businesses, airports, or government entities to provide any type of lifeline to Iran will itself face tremendous economic consequences. Oil smuggling, swap lines, cash transfers, exchange houses, ship registries, front companies, it all needs to stop now. You know who you are. This will be an economic D-Day, and we need all of our allies to stand with the United States to isolate and defeat the Iranian threat. He goes on. So any country that doesn't listen to him on this, he didn't say exactly what they're going to do, but it's going to be bad for them. The two countries he is talking to here is China and Russia. He's already done this a couple times since the beginning of the war, where he said he wants everybody to cut him off, and both times China has said no. Russia hasn't even responded because we know that it's a no, but China has openly said, no, we're still going to get our oil from them. We're going to buy it from them. And if you try to stop our ships on the open sea, it will be a military confrontation is what they've said to us. So he's doing all this bluster so that Fox News can read it and make it seem like he's being tough. Unless he works out some kind of a deal for China and Russia to be on board with this, it don't matter. Russia ain't going to do it. We're helping Ukraine against Russia, and Russia's getting back at us by helping Iran against us. That's a proxy war. That's how this goes. China relies on Iran for oil, and they need that oil, and they're not going to back down from that. Nothing's going to come of this fantastical tweet. We're going to continue to try to isolate them economically like we've been doing since 1953 or something like that. 1979, I guess, was the Islamic Revolution, but nothing new happening there. The one thing that was even funnier than this, though, We've talked about all of our bases over there are just destroyed. Like we've pulled all of our troops out. Right now, the closest we are to Iran is in Jordan, which is not it's not far away, but we had bases a lot closer, and they're hitting us in Jordan right now. In fact, I saw a video today where they hit one of our buildings like directly in Jordan, and I'm almost thinking there has to be casualties, but we haven't even admitted that they hit it yet. We know they did. But after they've run us out of the Middle East, you know the whole thing where it's like, you can't fire me, I quit. That's kind of what we're doing here. And this is an exclusive from the Washington Post. The Defense Department is assessing whether to pull back troops from the Persian Gulf, where America's large overseas military bases have been battered by months of Iranian strikes, people familiar with an ongoing analysis said. So good news. We're considering pulling back from Iran a little bit. What do you mean? We've already pulled back because they bombed the crap out of our bases and forced us to pull back. And now we're trying to make it look like, nah, we decided to pull back. You can't fire me, I quit, is what it's basically happening here.
Yeah.
Cool. Super.
Did you hear that Iran said that they might start bombing in Europe? They have the technology to get missiles into the UK, I think is what they said.
I haven't heard that, and I would question that. Mainly, so they tried to bomb an island in the Indian Ocean, and this was months ago. But based off how far that missile traveled, everybody was like, "Oh no! Like if they can send a missile that far, that means they could hit parts of Europe." And ever since then, Europe has tried to be real cool with Iran. Like they're trying not to piss us off, and they're trying not to piss Iran off. And I don't think Iran would try to open up that front. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen any threats towards Europe, and I've been paying attention.
I've got an interesting thought.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know why this came to my mind today, but I was thinking about Christopher Columbus and just
Okay.
what an idiot he was. He was just a bad person, right? I mean, and we still have a holiday for him.
I'm
But
not
not
gonna
only-
I'm not gonna argue with you on this. I want everybody to know that me and you are not seeing eye to eye on most of this stuff. Go ahead.
Wait, you don't agree that Christopher Columbus was like a bad person?
Oh, I believe what he did to the natives and how he described them in his journals and all that was terrible. But also, like, I'm not for tearing down statues of Christopher Columbus, is what I'll say.
Well, I think we should take away the holiday. I mean, the country's not even named after him. Amerigo Vespucci is actually the discoverer of America, right?
Do you know why?
Why what?
What did Amerigo Vespucci do?
I think he traveled, didn't he travel from uh like the Bering what is it called? The Bering Strait? Didn't he go across the Bering Strait when it was frozen?
No. Amerigo Vespucci, he mapped the coastline. Like the first map of the Americas was done by him, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, anyway, this came to my mind and I was like, you know what? Because Columbus was coming from Spain. He was working for the Spanish government at the time, right?
I believe he was working for Portugal.
Portugal, okay.
Yeah,
So
but he was
working
Spanish.
He was Spanish and he was working for Portugal and he was trying to find India. That's why I was calling the Native Americans Indians.
Yes.
He went the complete opposite direction of India. Like, he's an idiot. He's a total moron.
Okay, I need to give you, I don't know if I have time to do it right now, but I need to give you a lesson on what he was trying to do there. So,
He was trying to open up a trade route to India.
yes.
And he went the complete opposite direction and ended up in South America.
I want to let you keep talking, but I don't. I like you, so I want to stop you from continuing down this road.
Tell me where I'm wrong on this.
Man, okay. So all the spice, it was the spice trade is why they were trying to get to India.
Yep.
And to get there, you had to go all the way down around the bottom of Africa, Cape Horn, maybe I'm wrong on that. But it was a long journey. And at this point, we were just learning that the world wasn't flat. It was in fact round. And it was a hunch of his that if we travel straight west, we'll go around the globe and arrive in the Indies. Till this point, nobody knew that South America and North America laid in the way of their journey. He thought it would be a faster trip, and he took a gamble. A lot of people thought he was crazy. That's why he had to go to Portugal to finance his trip, because nobody else would, because they thought he was a moron for thinking you could travel west and get to India. In all actuality, he was correct. He just had the distance wrong. He didn't realize how far it would be traveling west to get to the Indies, and he didn't realize there was a whole continent laying in between the two.
Yeah, I still think he's an idiot.
Well, he was correct that if he went that way, he would eventually get there. It's just they didn't understand at the time how big the Earth was and how long of a journey that would be to go from point A to point B. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's yeah. All right.
Anyhow, okay. Last, we're gonna get back on Iran. This is the last video I have on Iran. Then we're talking economy. Things have gone so poorly in the Iran war that Fox News is kind of having to admit right now that things aren't going well. They were talking about how they were trying to basically help Trump out, and they were like, well, the facts have kind of changed. A lot of things that Trump was saying about this being a 2-week war or 6 weeks at most, obviously that's not true. This anchor from Fox News, and I think this is Shannon Bream, but I'm not 100%. But this is interesting, and she's trying to soft pedal it as much as she can to make it seem like Trump's not an idiot. But check this out.
I think some of the facts are just what they are. And if they're going to work on the economic front, it's going to take some time. So I think that where I usually would say there's a fact problem when people are saying there's a communications problem, I think right now it wouldn't hurt them to declare communications bankruptcy and clear the slate and start fresh. And just one idea I had in the commercial break. Bring in the pool. That's like a representative of several different types of reporters that are assembled every day. So it's a random selection. Bring them in, sit them down with the Secretary of War, the Secretary of State, the National Security Advisor, maybe even John Ratcliffe at the CIA if they're willing, and say, here's where we are, and answer every question until they're done. And start fresh, because I think that they do need a communications reset.
And I think, Harold, we are not near the end of this. I spoke to the
At the end there.
The only thing I came away with that was that the Republicans are actually figuring out that the facts are what they are.
Yeah, no, and it's a realization right now.
Realizing the facts are facts.
And Kayleigh McEnany at the very end goes, and I think I'm starting to think that this isn't going to be over soon. No, this is going to be over long from now. But it's weird because normally, like, to talk about a communications reset is not unheard of. But the phrase she used was a communications bankruptcy. Like, we've screwed this up so bad, let's just declare bankruptcy and start from scratch. Interesting for Fox News to be admitting that that's where we are right now, that we needed, of course, and Donald Trump, bankruptcy and Donald Trump just go together in my mind. Let's declare a communications bankruptcy and start from scratch and she didn't say it, but she was implying is let's start from scratch and let's be honest this time. That was the implication of what she was saying. So
I wish they could be honest about anything. It would be nice.
I'll tell you, Iran said back in March or April, they said, we're going to drag this out till the midterms and we're going to make Trump feel the pain. And I honestly, at the time, I was like, I don't know if they can drag it out. Like, I didn't think they had it in them to stick it out this long, but we're like 2 months from the midterms. Like, they're doing it. And now that basically what Trump has been announcing is we're going to stop with the bombing. By the way, they're still bombing ships in the Strait and bombing our bases. We're not striking back, which is embarrassing, but we're done with that. And instead, we're going to try economic pressure, which is what we'd been doing for 40 years previous to this, 50 years, whatever it was. So, yeah, this is going to go on for quite a while longer, and oil prices are continued to be high. Speaking of that.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to take your L. You take your L and go home.
Yeah, that's the thing is we can't even take the L, because taking the L means that they control the Strait of Hormuz and our gas prices are going to be high. Like, at this point, we're in just a no-win situation. It kind of sucks. Speaking of gas prices, I brought up something called the diesel crack a couple times recently, and I told you I'm not really familiar with what this is. Figured it out, and it's apparently not that complicated. But what they call the diesel crack is the difference in price of refined diesel versus gasoline. So diesel's not always, but recently more expensive than regular gas. And there's some magic number of $100. If refined diesel ends up costing $100 more a barrel than regular gas, that's like a magic number that's bad. Well, we officially crossed that. The diesel crack is at, I think, 103 or something like that. 102.20. Reason that's a problem is diesel prices directly affect our inflation of food and all kinds of stuff. That's how all retail goods, whether it be food, clothes, whatever, that's how they get to where they're going is through diesel trucks. Farming equipment, tractors, and all that all runs off of diesel. The diesel price is not going to come down anytime soon. Like after this is all over, regular gas price, like for me and you to fill up our vehicles, will come down way faster than diesel. Diesel's going to be high for a while. That equals more inflation. So just be ready for that. Not a good sign. On top of that, retail sales in the month of June went down 0.6%, which that didn't seem like a lot. When I saw the headline, I was like, okay, like retail sales down, that's a bad month. We'll bounce back from that. But apparently not necessarily the case. That is the first indicator of like a negative GDP. So our last GDP was 2.1, I think. Trump was claiming we're going to have 6 and 7% GDP by this point. I think it's been under 3 pretty much this whole year. But yeah, the retail sales dropping 0.6% is a problem. That was in July, actually. I said June. It was in July. That's going to be a problem. And then last thing, here's another Fox. I'm going to call it a truth bomb, I guess. But check this one out.
A new conservative report warns American consumers are the ones footing the bill for Trump's tariff policy. The blueprint from the Mike Pence-founded group estimates nearly 900,000 fewer jobs than expected as a result of Trump's trade policies. Their solution? Strip tariff authority from the president and hand it back to Congress. Okay.
For me and you, this is not new news. This is what we've been saying along. I'm telling you right now, for a large amount of Americans that only get their news from Fox or other right-wing channels, this is the first they're hearing of this. Like this whole time, Trump has been saying that the other countries pay the tariffs and it's going to create more jobs. Me and you know that's batshit crazy, but Fox just had to admit to their people that it turns out consumers in America are paying the tariffs and it's costing us, what they say, 900,000 fewer jobs. Like, awesome that they're finally leveling with their viewers, but where was this honesty months ago?
Years ago. A year and a half ago.
Yeah. Oh, the tariff. And if you watch Fox News, oh, well, we all know that the other country pays the tariff. Why are you just lying to your people? It would be funny if it wasn't so infuriating, is what I'll say.
Yeah. Well, what did Fox News? Didn't they like claim in court that it's an opinion show, not a news show?
So not every show, and so I wish there was a better way to label this, but Fox, CNN, and MSNBC, they all have certain shows that are news shows, and then certain shows that are opinion shows. The easiest way to know is anything that happens after 5 p.m. is probably an opinion show. If you're watching, I want to say Tucker, but Hannity, Jesse Waters, even like Anderson Cooper or Caitlin Collins, like those are all in the opinion windows. Like that's in the evening, you're getting opinion shows.
So they can't call themselves news reporters anymore?
I guess not. And Caitlin Collins is she is the White House correspondent for CNN. But then when you watch her show, Caitlin Collins Tonight, like I guarantee you, if she ever got pulled into court, she would try to use the same thing. I think it was Tucker that was like, well, I never said I'm a news show. I'm an opinion show. And like if it's in prime time, it's probably an opinion show is the best way to say it.
That's just sketchy.
Again, it should be very clearly labeled on everything that this is not news, this is opinion. But
yeah,
anyhow.
Especially the 5.
Yeah. Now, with all this bad stuff going on, I was worried because, we got Scott Bessent, Howard Nutlick, and Donald Trump. Is anybody doing anything to turn the ship around, I guess? Yeah. It turns out Donald Trump and his sons are on top of things, okay? They're not just sitting back. They're getting shit done. I don't know if you've heard of this yet, but exclusive from the Wall Street Journal, World Liberty Financial, the Trump family's flagship crypto venture, says its trust company has received preliminary approval from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency to become a bank. Donald Trump has his own bank that's about to be approved. Now, the Office of the Comptroller, the head of that, was appointed by Trump. So a Trump appointee is allowing their shit crypto coin to become its own bank. What could possibly go wrong here? So, first of all, I guarantee you if there's issues, the American government's going to step in to save that bank, to bail it out for sure. But The real implication of this is corruption, and it's a good way to hide corruption. I listened to a podcast today, a financial guy that was way smarter than me explaining this, but the way that this is practically going to get used by the Trumps, right now, if a company or a billionaire wants to give them money, they could buy crypto coin. There's a couple different ways they can do it, but it can all be tracked. Well, as soon as they get officially licensed to be a bank, which apparently is coming any day now, the way this is going to get used is, say that Nvidia and Dell want to do some kind of a deal and they want to give Trump a piece of the action. What they'll do is they'll use his bank to execute the sale. The transfer of money will go through his bank. Whenever that happens, whatever bank is hosting the sale gets 2%. So if it's a $10 million sale, the Trumps get 2% of that. So anybody that wants to bribe Trump now just has to do their transactions using his bank as a host, and they get 2% of the cut. And the key thing is, we'll never know about it. That stuff doesn't have to be disclosed. What bank they used is not on any form anywhere in any of these things.
Wow. I mean, they're corrupting every avenue of our system.
Yeah. This solved the problem for them. We're getting all these bribes, but the media keeps finding out about it. How do we hide these bribes? I know. We'll start a bank and we'll host transactions. Simple. It's a processing fee, 2%.
Wow. This is so nuts.
Yeah. And I'll say this, there have been some Republicans that have said I don't know what's going on, but I don't like this. They're not really doing anything yet, but at least they're kind of acting like they're concerned about it. When Democrats get in power here in 4 or 5 months, January 5th, whenever it is, like, it's the first thing. Yeah, and I'm not counting on that these days, because all the different. I saw today that the Department of Justice announced they're putting out like 10,000 election monitors to monitor all these. There's going to be some screwery going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, this bank is now, like, in my mind, like the very first thing that needs to be looked at. I don't think they'll have the power to, like, make it not a bank anymore until hopefully the next president, if it's a Democrat, can do that. But like, this is
every other episode we have a new something that they should first look at.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of they've got their hands full when they get into office. So anyhow,
Wow.
That's always fun. As we talked about a little, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but this is the fun part. I've been saying for a couple weeks now that we all need to be keeping our eye on Japan, because if Japan's economy crumbles, that's going to take our economy with it. And I know it seems odd to say Japan has a much smaller economy, but Japan holds the most of our debt. Of all the countries in the world, Japan holds a lot of our debt, the most of any country. As we said, Scott Bessent bought $5 to $10 billion of the Japanese yen to try to stabilize things. It didn't work. In the past couple of days, they've sold 26 billion of our treasury bonds. Now, here's the fun part. The open market, we've had trouble selling our treasury bonds for the past year. Nobody would buy the bonds they were selling, and if nobody buys them, then that drives the value of our bonds down, which will crash the dollar. So somebody needs to buy them. Take a guess at who bought them.
We did.
The American government, the Treasury Department bought it. Now, I know what you're thinking. We just crossed 40 trillion in debt. We are running at a deficit right now. We don't have extra money laying around to buy that. How did we possibly do that? Well, we had to borrow money from other countries to do this.
Oh.
Now, if you borrow it on the 30-year note, which is what we were trying to buy, then it makes no difference, because it wouldn't have any effect. So we had to borrow money on the 5 and 10-year treasury yields, which have a higher interest rate than the 30-year. So we borrowed on the 5-year notes $26 billion from other countries to buy back $26 billion of our debt, and we're screwing ourselves in the process.
Oh my gosh. This is Scott Bessent, right?
Yes, this is Scott Bessent.
Okay. He just doesn't seem to know what he's doing, but also maybe he does know what he's doing, and all they're trying to do is keep our stock market afloat, because that's all they have right now.
I'll say this.
Everything else is falling apart. All they have is the stock market.
What they did today with this borrowing money to buy back our debt, they kind of had to. Like, if they didn't, like, the dollar would have crumbled. Not crumbled, but it would have taken a huge hit. So they had to do what they did today. But all the things, the tariff wars we were doing with all these countries, the Iran war and the price of oil, like this has all caused this economic problem all around the world. So it's our fault this situation arose. But what we're at now is what Scott Bessent did the only thing we could do at this point. And this is from Bloomberg. We've real quick, we've talked about the treasury yield. This is another magic number that I don't understand. But on the 30-year notes, if the interest rate gets above 5.3, that's apparently bad. I don't know why. Everybody keeps talking about 5.3, and it's gotten close a couple times, then gone back down. Well, today it hit 5.33. From Bloomberg, after U.S. Treasury bond yields hit their highest levels since the financial crisis, the Treasury announced an increase in buybacks, which again, to buy back our stock, we had to borrow money from other countries to buy back our Treasury bonds at 5.33%, the highest interest rate since the financial crisis. I'll bet you're wondering if we should be worried right now, okay? Now, I am a worrier by nature. I'm a little worried. But luckily, Donald Trump gave a press conference this afternoon, and they asked him specifically if we should be worried. He doesn't feel this way.
Should Americans be concerned about this volatility in the bond market?
No, I don't think so, because like I said, our country is doing so well despite interest rates. We have interest rates that are they're actually artificially high. They raise them for no reason. And you can't go out to the market when you have a Fed that's raising interest. You can't say, oh, I want to pay 3 points less than what the Fed says you're supposed to be paying. So, no, I don't think so at all. I think we have a very powerful country, and we're powering through these ridiculous interest rates.
So don't be worried because our country's doing so good. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but off the top of my head, the jobs reports have not been good. We're losing jobs or barely. I think overall in Trump's first year and a half, we've lost jobs. Like net, we've lost jobs. There's been a couple months that we gained. Jobs aren't going well. Inflation is higher than when he took over, 3.4, 3.5%. Our economy is not going well unless you're a billionaire. If you're a billionaire, I'm sure you think things are going well. Donald Trump says we don't have to worry because of how strong our economy is. Our economy's not strong at the moment. Every indicator says it's not strong. The one thing Trump keeps saying is the stock market is at all-time highs. He's not telling a lie. It is. I don't know how it is, but it is. And then his other thing is that all these other countries have invested in, depending on what day it is, he'll say 19 trillion, 22 trillion. It's always somewhere in that range. But none of that money is accounted for. Nobody knows where that is. It hasn't been invested yet, but he just keeps throwing it out, making shit up. He also, I want to make the point, he doesn't understand what the Fed does or why they do it. And he says, oh, the Fed needs to lower interest rates. And we've talked about why they can't at certain times.
Sure.
And I've always speculated, well, he knows the real reason. He just wants to complain. I got two more clips from this interview today, or this press conference. I don't think, I'm going to change my tune on this. I don't think he understands the relationship between interest rates and inflation. Here's the next clip.
These ridiculous interest rates, they're ridiculous. Look, when our country is strong, interest rates should go down. When our country is weak, frankly, they should go up. But this country is strong. There's never been in history the kind of money coming into a country as we have right now.
Is he mixing up like the money coming into our country and the money coming into his bank account?
I think so. I think he sees how much is coming into his personal accounts and he assumes that's what the country's doing, but it's not. He's the one person. He's having a great run of things over the last year and a half. His net worth is like tripled or something since he became president.
He was
probably
definitely
more than that.
He was not a billionaire before he was a president.
Yeah, he was a fake billionaire. He was a billionaire on paper.
Fake billionaire. Yeah, he was a fake billionaire.
But he's saying, what do you say? When the economy is strong, they should, or when our country is strong, they should lower interest rates. First of all, what metric are we talking when the country is strong? We need to get specific on this. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, anytime that inflation starts to get high, they raise interest rates because the more money is floating around in the economy, the higher inflation gets. So the main reason that the Fed moves interest rates up or down is to keep inflation in check. Runaway inflation will kill a country. Argentina, this is a quick side note, but Argentina and Turkey in the past couple of years did exactly what we did today, where they were buying back their debt at worse interest rates, and both of their economies are screwed right now, okay? You would think we would be paying attention and know that, the last two countries that did this, it didn't work out so well for them. apparently we're not paying attention, or we think we can do it better. I don't know. But he doesn't understand that relationship. Now, when the inflation starts to get low, you can raise interest rates. And there's a healthy amount of inflation you want. You want inflation to be between like 1% and 2%. And if you get to deflation, that can actually be bad for the economy. Trump, when he was running for office last time, he said, I'm going to bring prices down on day one. Everybody got excited, but that would have been deflation, and that can actually hurt your economy too. So it's like 1 to 1.5% inflation is healthy, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so you use the interest rate to try to
But
keep
wages have to at least match that.
And we've talked about this before, but then you get into a problem like we were in, and we're still kind of in, where inflation is high, but also jobs are not being created. And you got to pick which one you want to attack there, because if you lower interest rates, you'll help the jobs come back, but you'll raise inflation. So it's a balancing game.
But in this day and age, I don't think that lowering the inflation rate is going to create more jobs. Like these
lowering the interest rate.
Yeah, lowering the interest rate isn't going to help. Yeah, because these big businesses are cutting the fat, as much fat as they can. They're trying to cut as much as they can. They're trying to get rid of as many jobs as they can so they can make more profits for themselves, their shareholders, and their CEO. And I mean, it's just not good. I'm going to bring this back. No more billionaires.
And I'll say you're right, because with automation and AI, like we're hitting a point where interest rate doesn't matter. Companies can do it with less humans working there, and they're going to do that to help to show higher profit for the shareholders and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's all about making money for the shareholders. So you're right on that. But again, it's weird that Trump doesn't understand this. The last clip from this same press conference, he goes on a little bit here, but this is just so dumb. Like, I hope everybody watching this can realize how dumb this line is here.
Now, when we announce good numbers, the better they are, the worse it is for interest rates. So we could have a GDP of 10 times. You know, they say, oh, it's going to be 3 times or 4.1. We could have a GDP of 10, 12, 15 times if they just leave us alone. Let the rates go down. We should pay the lowest interest rates. You know, every point of interest is $600 billion. Think of that. Every point of interest is $600 billion. 2 points means we make a fortune, but we keep driving it up. It's a very unfair system, and I've said it now for a long time. When our country does well, interest rates should go down. I mean, every time I hear our country's doing well, I say, oh, it's too bad, because they lift up interest rates. They should drop interest rates because it means we have a strong country, and it's all based on credit, meaning good credit, and we have the best credit. And we'd pay off the debt very easily, very quickly. But if somebody's paying a half a point, we should be paying a half a point, not somebody else. Right now, I think it's Switzerland has the lowest. Again, and I don't want to single them out, but if you take our business away from Switzerland, they have problems. So why are they paying a half a point and we're paying much more than that? Does that make sense to anybody? I mean, it seems pretty simple to me, but it's a killer. You know, I almost like to hear bad numbers. I'm saying, I hope we have bad numbers today. Interest rates will go down. It doesn't make sense. When our business is good, we should lower interest rates. And then you want to build America, you're going to see a building like you've never seen. We're doing great, even despite the fact of what's happening with interest rates.
It sounds simple to him because he doesn't understand it. Like, I don't know, like that. There's so many points in it. I need to calm down.
Yeah, there's nothing I can really say about that besides Trump's an idiot.
He doesn't understand the relationship the Fed has with inflation, interest rates, and our economy. And why does Switzerland have such a low interest rate? Well, you know what? I haven't even looked. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that inflation's not a problem for them at the moment, and they don't have 40 trillion in debt. I'm just going out on a limb. If their inflation goes up, I'll bet, just like in America, their interest rates go up. They probably have some version of the Fed similar to what we have.
Yeah.
He's a moron.
Switzerland's national debt is around 160 to 390 billion.
Yeah, considerably less than us.
Oh, here we go. Very low debt to GDP. Never mind. Okay. Yeah. Crazy.
It's funny that he looks at
their debt to GDP ratio is 16%.
he looks at Switzerland and he's like, I don't get why we don't have the same rules they have, because they're a lot smaller country that handles their budget and deficit a lot better than we do. That's why. Also, he said, what did he say? We have the best credit rating, or he said something along those lines. No, we don't. In fact, the rest of the world is constantly worrying that we're going to default on our debt. Like, that's scary. That's why a lot of countries keep wanting to offload our debt, because they don't trust that we're going to be able to buy it back. Like, anyhow,
Yeah.
we got issues in America, and according to him, we're doing so good, and it's because we're doing so good that they keep raising interest rates. That's not at all what's happening. I could lose it on this topic. So, anyhow,
Yeah. Things are not, I mean, it's almost like we're just hanging on by a thread, you know?
I would agree. The one good thing is for you, and for me a little bit. First of all, because the economy is going so poorly, this is helping the DSA. Like more and more people. What's funny, I was talking to a family member of mine today that has constantly been like, "Well, you're not DSA, are you?" They always ask me that question. And today they were like, "You know what? I was talking to a friend, and like the DSA is not that bad. They want universal health care. They want," and I was shocked. I was like, "Holy God." You sound like you're DSA curious. Like, what's going on here? And it's because they're learning a little bit more. Like when Bernie Sanders went on the Joe Rogan podcast 6 years ago, like even up until then, I was like, I like Bernie, but I don't like all the things he wants to do. And then he explained it, and through learning about it, I was like, oh, that all sounds pretty nice. I think the Democrats often have messaging problems, and I feel like this is another example of like nobody knows what they're talking about, and they allow Fox News to define them. Oh, well, the DSA wants to get rid of all cops and get rid of all borders and blah blah blah, and it's like, no, that's not what they're saying, but we don't know that because they're not good at getting out and telling us what they're for.
Yeah.
They need to get better at that. But Fox
Well,
News.
the problem is Fox News won't allow somebody on that actually makes sense and can actually explain these things. Every once in a while, they let Pete Buttigieg on for like 3 minutes, and he steamrolls whoever he's talking to,
Well,
and then that's it.
I will say Sean Hannity had a DSA guy on like 2 weeks ago. I should have pulled the clip, but the guy kind of steamrolled Hannity, and Hannity did not. Hannity ended the interview early because it was not going his way, I'll say. But the lady we talked about at the beginning of the show in Florida, that's going to be the Democrat Senate candidate in Florida, Angie Nixon. I saw this today. Fox News is trying to scare everybody. She's DSA. Here's all the things she wants to do. Let's take a look, and you tell me how scary this is to you. I'm not even sure it's supposed to be scary.
Oh, Medicare for all, free child care. Oh, that sounds great. Free paid family and sick leave. That's nice. National rent freeze and moratorium on evictions. Okay. Universal jobs program. Great. Tax the rich, abolish ICE. So the only thing, like if you're reading that and you're far right, the only thing that you should be worried about is the abolish ICE. That's the only thing you should like be mad about.
Most of the DSA have said they want to abolish the current version of ICE and come up with a different way to do immigration enforcement, which I'm actually, that goes back to defund the police. When people would say defund the police and then you'd interview them, they'd say, well, I think we need to reimagine the way we do policing in America. Yeah. Okay, that sounds way better than defund the police or, abolish the police, whatever they're saying. So abolish ICE. Most of them have explained what they think there still should be some kind of immigration enforcement, but not a militarized, group of people going around kicking down doors and dragging people out. Like that's what they're saying. The only thing on here that I don't love is the national rent freeze and moratorium on evictions. I think there are some cities where a rent freeze makes sense, New York being one of them. Moratorium on evictions, I'm not like. There are like during COVID, a moratorium on evictions made sense because the government was not allowing certain people to work. So for them to lose their house makes sense. But just a national moratorium on evictions, like, okay, so I can just stop paying my mortgage and I get to live here forever. Like, so I'd like more detail there. But the rest of that, I think a lot of Americans, a lot more today than a year ago, look at this list and they're like, man, like most of those items don't sound bad. Like for the first time ever, universal health care is polling above 50%. I think like 55% of the nation wants it. It's almost incredible. On top of that, talking about how far people have come on this, this is a poll from CBS. Would you approve or disapprove of government price controls? I don't know if you remember, but when Kamala Harris mentioned stopping people from price gouging, Republicans said that's price controls and that's socialism, blah, blah, blah.
They call it communism. They said it's
Yeah, communism. Well, Donald Trump has talked about price controls in the last couple of weeks. And wouldn't you know, all of a sudden, look at Republicans on the far right. 54% of Republicans would approve of price controls and only 46 would disapprove. I thought that was communism. 75% of Dems and 62% of independents would be for it. Now, I'm not saying, and I'll actually make the. I listened to a girl named Catherine Rampell, who's a real good economist. She's on a couple different. She's on MSNBC and she's on Bulwark podcast, and she made a really good argument why price controls sound good, but if you look back at any time they've ever been instituted, it's gone terribly for that country. So I'm not necessarily saying that we should do across the board price controls, but on certain things, I think an argument could be made that it would make sense to do that.
What does a price control look like?
You're telling a company you cannot sell whatever this item is for more than this amount. You're putting a cap on how much they can sell something for.
Well, I mean, so I think that is a weird thing, but I think for basic living necessities like gas, energy, food, healthcare, I think there should be a percentage. Like you can only profit this percentage on these items, right?
So gas and energy are two that I would feel okay with trying to do some kind of price controls on gas and energy, mainly because some corporations making record profit every quarter off of something that they're pulling out of the ground that it belongs to all of us. Like, how are you making record profit anyhow? So,
well, remember during the pandemic, like right after the pandemic, there was it was called greedflation, and all the food companies were doing it. They were bumping up their prices or making everything smaller. Your sizes.
We have proof of this. Like during the pandemic, the greedflation, they were taking advantage of the COVID. They could raise their prices, and then if anybody complained, they'd be like, "Ah, COVID, we had to." When really their supply chain hadn't been disrupted at all. The whole the egg prices under Biden, it got found out in court. Text messages came out where all the heads of all the major egg companies were getting together and deciding to raise prices for no real reason because there was an avian flu going around and they had something to blame. So they're in trouble now that they're having to pay a fine that's probably nothing. But yeah, in those kind of situations, I'm okay with the government having a say-so. But again, across the board price controls, bad idea. I firmly, after listening to one smart lady talk, I believe her. But certain areas, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And in certain times, like during COVID, that would be a time for the government to step in and have price controls over more items because of what's going on. Again, when the government tells you can't work, then they kind of need to protect you from being evicted or not being able to afford food and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
What do they call that? Special circumstances call for a special action, or there's some phrase like that.
Sure.
Makes sense. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been getting hosed. Basically, our whole lives, we've just been getting hosed by these big corporations, but the pandemic kind of actually shined a light on it.
Yeah, more people are aware of it now. And I've said this to you a couple different times, but the billionaires got too greedy. Like there was always an unspoken deal where they have to let us have enough to where we won't revolt and come for the billionaires. And something happened with this new class of, Elon Musk, Mark Thiessen, Peter Thiel, or Mark Andreessen, is that his name? Peter Thiel, Zuck. Like, they got too greedy. They forgot about the unwritten rule of letting us have just enough to not complain. Now we're all pissed. So, and like I said, that they are doing more to welcome in DSA than anybody else. The billionaires are the ones, and they're coming for them. I at this point, like the tax the rich idea is gaining momentum. Like they are going to pay for this. They could have just been a tad less greedy and let us have our stuff, but nope, they had to get greedy. So
yeah, as long as our votes still count.
Let's pray. On that topic of coming for the rich, the last time we recorded, I had made it through like a little more than half of the Joe Rogan podcast with Shane Gillis and all them and pulled a couple clips. There's one more clip that I have that fits into this very nicely. Shane Gillis, I love more and more the more I hear him talk. But I want you to watch this clip. There's one thing that Joe Rogan says in the middle that we're going to talk about.
But I think it was Teddy who did he called it the square deal, which is kind of what we're approaching, which he broke up all the guys that were making all the money, the 1% basically.
Yeah.
He called it the square deal. Was that Teddy?
Wow. Yeah, focused on the 3 C's: fair consumer protection, control of giant corporations, and conservation of natural
So we're getting
resources.
close to we need another
Yellowstone was
Teddy
on him.
where somebody's willing to abuse their executive power to shut down whatever the fuck we're doing right now.
But the thing is, like, don't you think that big business and corporations and super PACs and all these different things have gotten so deeply entwined in politics that if a guy ever tried to do anything remotely like that, they'd kill him?
Yeah, we went too far.
I mean, look, we thought Trump was going to do it. It's clear he's not going to do any of those things.
He's not going to do any of those things they said.
Or something else going to have to happen. Some other radical change.
They're so intertwined now. It's like you can't get past them.
There's so much dirty money.
What are we going to give up, fellas?
No.
We can't lose it.
No.
We got a good thing going.
Yeah, we got to get somebody in there.
It's funny
it ain't
how
killing the politicians. It's
slowly
killing
but
people who control it.
surely people try to turn everything into some sort of a totalitarian government. They slowly want more and more power, more and more control. They want to siphon more and more money. It's just over time. That's always what you're fighting against. Always.
But don't you feel like we're at a boiling point? It feels like something's going to happen.
Yeah, it's pitchfork era.
Something should happen because if it doesn't happen, then we're all going to be fucked.
No one can get a home. No one can pay their bills.
They got flock
Everyone's living with
cameras
roommates
everywhere.
at 35.
Is Joe Rogan talking sense now?
Dude, that sounds like DSA to me. Now, the one thing that Joe said in the middle there is he said they're basically saying we need to break up these big corporations, the monopolies, the billionaires that control everything. But he said we thought Trump was going to be the one to do it, but apparently he's not. Who thought Donald Trump was going to come in and I can't even finish the sentence. Who thought that Donald Trump was going to be the one that was going to come in and really stick it to the billionaires? Were people thinking that, Docs? Like I'm so confused.
I didn't think that. We knew.
He was surrounded by billionaires at his inauguration. All the billionaires were there. Like
Joe Rogan was there.
And Joe Rogan's like, well, these people have become so intertwined because Joe Rogan's had them all on his podcast. He's had Mark Andreessen, Peter Thiel, Zuckerberg, Elon. Like he's let them all come on and talk and lie. The Mark Andreessen was the most egregious one, where he let Mark Andreessen come in there and talk about the Consumer Protection, the Consumer Protection Financial Bureau, and just make up lies about it. And Joe's sitting there like, really? How is that allowed? Because he's lying to you.
Yeah.
Oh my! So for him to sit,
Consumer Protection Agency was actually like benefited the people and
protected,
not the billionaires.
It protected the consumers.
It let us actually sue them if they messed around with us.
And
now it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. And part of the legwork for that was Mark Andreessen going on Joe and convincing Joe and all of his listeners that really the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau it's crooked and Elizabeth Warren is using it to do blah blah, whatever it was. Anyhow, for him to sit there and play dumb, like how do these billionaires get so intertwined in Joe Rogan had more to do with it than almost anybody else in America, I'm just going to say. Yeah. And then also we thought Trump was going to be the one to fix this. I can't get over that. But if you take those things aside, those guys sounded like a bunch of DSA candidates right there, didn't they? Like that was, we need to do something. We need to break up the 1% that's controlling everything. I already said about the people with pitchforks. Like it needs to happen. Even Joe Rogan was saying it needs to happen.
Yeah. Well,
I can't believe where we're at.
I bet ticket sales are down.
For Joe?
For all of them.
Not Shane. Shane's setting records, man.
Okay.
But no, and that's the thing is like right-wing audiences right now, like the one that everybody keeps pointing out is Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro's audience is just cratered. And I think a lot of that has to do with his support for Israel. But like Tucker and Candace are still doing good apparently, but every other right-wing show that was really doing good in the Biden times is struggling now. I do think if a Democrat gets back in 2028, then those guys will all come bouncing right back because people will be upset. Whoever's not in power likes to whine and hear people talk about how bad, just like, I'm sure me and you really enjoy listening to people talk shit about how bad Trump is doing. And then if a Democrat gets in and suddenly things aren't going well, it's like, yeah, I'm not really paying attention to that right now. That's kind of human nature that people do that.
I'm kind of tired of listening to how bad Trump is doing.
There's a part of me that's ready
so
for
bad.
There's a part of me that I need like a week in the woods with no phone or internet to just like tune out for a while and clear my brain because it's something every day. Like it's just gotten ridiculous.
It's multiple things every day.
It's bad. So, that's the most shocking thing to me is from what I see online and people I talk to, like they might not know the phrase DSA or they might not know what it stands for, but just in general, the vibes are like, hey, we got to do something about these billionaires running our country. Like that is becoming a mainstream thought of we need to do something about that. And tax the rich is right behind that. It's not here yet, but it's coming. Universal healthcare got like 54% approval right now. So we're heading in a direction right now. It could get screwed up, but we're heading there.
Andy, we've been doing this podcast for 2 years, and I've been screaming that the same thing for these last 2 years, and you come around somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
But now everybody's starting to realize.
I was for universal health care from the start. That was the one thing that I always said I'm ready for that. Everything else, I'm not sure yet, and I'm coming around on a lot of the things. So and like I said, they still go a little further than I would like, and practically like they could run on rent control or what, but they don't have the power to do that unless we get 60 senators in there that all agree we should do that. It ain't gonna happen.
I think rent control is a state by state, city by city, like what Manami's doing. I think that's what that is.
So a senator saying they're running on a platform of rent control and eviction moratorium, like they don't have the power to do that. So they're just saying it. Like, what do they have the power to really do? Medicare for all, like universal health care. Like that's something they could possibly get done. So and that's where I always wish it's like focus on what you can get done. Like Bernie talks about all the things he wishes could happen, but in reality, as a senator, there's only 2 or 3 things he has the power to actually influence. All the rest of it, he's just talking. I kind of wish
from the last few presidents we've had, we've noticed like they really can only get one major piece of legislation through.
Yeah, they burn up all their capital on whatever that first thing is, and then after that, it's just So anyhow, the last thing I wanted to cover with you real quick, just because I've been bringing this up at the end of our last couple shows, but the International Criminal Court that Marco Rubio and Donald Trump are determined to just get rid of. Marco Rubio with a tweet from earlier today. Last month, I launched a diplomatic campaign to dismantle the ICC's threat to our national sovereignty. The Trump administration is sanctioning the ICC president, Tomoko Akeni, I can't say that, and senior trial lawyer Abdoulaye Saye. In our unwavering mission to protect Americans from this sham of a court, in honor of our Declaration of Independence, Americans will never be transported beyond the seas to be tried for pretend offenses. He made that all about protecting Americans. Here's the key thing you need to realize. For the past 15 years, there's been no American that's been investigated in any way, shape, or form or had charges brought against it. No American, period, since the Iraq War. Okay? Right now, there's one person that is being investigated and has charges brought against him. That person is Benjamin Netanyahu. And on July 31st, Donald Trump said to the camera, we are trying to take out the ICC because they're going after Bibi. He said that. Now we're trying to turn around and be like, oh, this is to protect Americans. No, it's to protect Bibi. But we've officially sanctioned the ICC president and their senior trial lawyer in an effort to get rid of the ICC, the International Criminal Court. This is stupid. They're going to succeed. I think that they'll get enough countries to jump out of that treaty to where the ICC, and they already have, they have almost no teeth currently, and they're going to take the rest of the teeth. So just letting you know.
I don't know what countries are going to do that for America right now.
All the South American countries. That's what Rubio's working on right now.
Yeah. You mean the countries that we regularly overthrow their government?
Yes. And we're like, they've got South America set up right now to where in everywhere but Brazil, they have a Trump-friendly leader in charge of that country now. So Brazil's the one holdout.
Oh, wow. Ew.
Yeah.
And that was probably through our meddling?
A lot of meddling. And over the past year and a half, there's been, I think 5 or 6 of those countries have had like presidential elections, and we have gotten very involved, even making it clear to them that if the right-wing candidate wins, America will be their friend and help them and give them money, but if the left-wing candidate wins, we're cutting them off. And for the people down there, they're like, oh shit, like we need America. So they vote for the right-wing candidate because that's the only way that America will be a friend and help them.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, that's straight. Like, if any country tried to do that to us, we would tell them to get the hell out of our elections. But we're doing it to every South American country.
I mean, isn't that against international law?
Probably, but who's going to do anything about it? So.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I told you I was going to give you good news. I think I gave you like one piece of good news tonight, and then the
Yeah.
rest was not
There
so
was
good.
one. Yeah.
So everybody continue to keep your eye on Japan. That's a very volatile situation, is what I'll say.
Yeah, I looked at the stock market. It's it's kind of flattened out, but it went down, back up, and then flattened
You're
out.
talking about our stock market?
No, it was Japanese.
Okay, because the Japanese stock market at one point, I think today lost like 200 billion in value or something like that.
Was that today then?
I think it was today or yesterday. So we're trying everything we can to stabilize them, but it's not going our way.
Yeah. Apparently, you can't just throw money at a country and stabilize it.
Who would have thought? So, and honestly, part of their problem, Japan has to import pretty much everything. They don't have natural resources on that island, and the one thing they definitely don't have is oil. And their stock market really started having issues once the Iran thing started, and the price of oil went up. And like Asia gets most of its oil through the Strait of Hormuz. So, like what we're doing in Iran is directly caused. It's one of the main contributing factors to what's going on with Japan's stock market. Just saying. So, on that note, I hope you have a good night. Everybody like and subscribe, leave a comment.
Vote Democrat, vote Democratic Socialist.
I'm not going that far, but I will say some of these candidates I'm coming around on, I will say.
Vote out your politicians. Vote out your crummy, shitty politicians.
If you have a politician that's been in office for 3 terms or more, they probably need to leave. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So
they're getting money from AIPAC. Kick them out.
I like it. I like that a lot. So, all right. I'll talk to you next time, sir. Later.
Peace.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.